Welcome to another episode of Money 911, where we dive deep into creative strategies that help you maximize every dollar you invest. Today, we're making a bold leap into the world of experiential marketing with Sheila Rondeau. The visionary founder of Moog XP, Sheila has worked with some of the world's biggest brands, creating powerful experiences that turn heads, spark conversations, and deliver real impact, even when marketing budgets are tight. If you've ever wondered how to stretch your marketing dollars in the most innovative and transformational ways, this episode is for you. Get ready to be inspired because Sheila is about to change the way you think about marketing forever. All right. Welcome, Sheila. It's so wonderful to have you here.
Love to be here with you. So thank you so much, Kris.
Absolutely. You know, you've worked with some of the biggest brands in the world. What is the most outrageous, unexpected, experimental marketing campaign you created, and what impact did it have?
I've worked with some crazy ones, so it's hard to just pinpoint one. At the time, the one that was considered really out there was Beer School. So I worked with Anheuser-Busch on Beer School, which was a mobile beer school that allowed people to go through the brewing process with an Anheuser-Busch brewmaster. And so that was cutting edge at its time because it was really early on. But I think the most impactful one I worked on was creating the field marketing team for vitamin water.
Hmm.
So I was working at an agency. They had started the brand and they wanted to create enough disruption in the marketplace that people started buying the product. But instead of putting it on shelves and letting people buy it, they created an opportunity to sample so much product that people would go out and ask for it in stores. So the stores would look for it instead of the other way. And it did so much more than they expected it to do that Coca-Cola bought them for $4.2 billion.
Not a small thing.
Crazy. And then we go a different direction. And I have worked with some amazing charities. And
Hmm.
I worked with Folds of Honor on behalf of Unilever, Johnson and Johnson, and Nestle, all brought together by Rite Aid. And it was an amazing program where we got to go out in the marketplace and talk about a charity that is near and dear to my heart. So a charity that provides scholarships to the children and spouses of fallen military.
Ah,
Yeah.
wonderful.
No, retired Army. I mean,
Ah,
those kids and those spouses, I mean, that's how we pay our respects to those who have given so much.
that's wonderful. That's beautiful. I
It's
love
kind
it.
of full
Yeah.
spectrum there because there's lots of different types of programs.
And it's still going on? Cool.
That one is not, but Folds of Honor still is still doing their gig and they are doing it very well. But I'm always working on something new, which is fun.
Yeah, it is fun. And the give back to me this time in my life, it's just everything. I mean, it's so that's the money in the bank. But, money's tight, dreams are big. So how do small businesses create the buzz on a tiny budget?
So there are a couple of different ways. But first of all, they have to have a plan because it is really important when small businesses are trying to truly move the needle. They get scattered and they spend money in places that don't bring them what they need to. So what you have to do is really come up with a plan and work the plan. And so the plan has to look at all the different touch points. Who is your audience? How are they most open to receive your message? Are you a consumer facing brand? Are you a B2B? Are you a consultant? And in any of those types of things, you have to look at who are you talking to and how do you reach them? So one of the ways for such as a consultant or B2B, you have to elevate your brand so that the people who are buying are educated about what you offer versus other people. And in theory, it's the same thing with a consumer facing brand, but a lot of times it's about the attributes of the product and what we solve for.
Right.
So it's what who are you speaking to? What is your budget? What is your message and how do you position? And then you start looking at what are the things you do. So you can do some of the same tactics for B2B brands as you do B2C. How do you engage people face to face? So where do you go? It could be a trade show, it could be a business meeting, it could be a surprise and delight through a PR stunt. It could be sports and music sponsorship activation. It could be a VIP hospitality. It could be some type of sampling or introduction to your product. But it can also be through PR. It can be through social media. My biggest concern for small businesses is that when they spend time with social media, they think they don't have to do sales. Because if they do it on social media and they have a website, that the phone's just going to ring. And that's not how it works. When you use social media, you use PR and those types of initiatives, it's about creating an awareness so that people know who you are and what you stand for and what you do. It doesn't change the fact you still have to make a phone call, or you still have to send an email, or you still have to go meet people. That social media is probably the biggest trap that small businesses use because they think if they put it out in social media that they are just going to kill it. It's going to go viral and everybody's going to want to buy. It is one of many tools, but it has to be integrated into the other things you're doing.
Exactly. Well, I got trapped in that one. And, this is the thing I think it's kind of on the top of my mind too is digital's cool, but let's get real. The in-person experience, like seeing you, giving you a hug, it's unforgettable. And we're in the screen obsessed world. I spend more time on a screen now and I
Yes.
miss, right, the in-person. Did a test in San Diego, as you probably know, and a lot of people sign up, a lot of people don't show up, and it's different now.
It is.
So, how do you make it unforgettable? And how do you get the people there now? It's different.
So I would say look differently. So
Okay.
there are some people who have a big enough following or have a loyal enough following that they just show up. So I have a client who, when they send out invites to an event, they have a really good read rate, the click rates. So you've got an open rate, a click rate, and then an actual registration. So all of those things, their rates are so much higher, but they still only get so many seats that people say they're going to come. And then you have to expect that anywhere from 40 to 60% won't show,
Right.
which is crazy. And
It's
if you're doing better than that, you're doing great. But what you can do is you can create an event in an event. So look at something that's already drawing attention and have a mini event in it. It takes some of the risk away. You may not get quite as much control over how many people and what your setup may be or whatever, but it does allow you to have somewhat of a built-in audience. So sometimes being a sponsor or being part of a bigger event allows you that opportunity. You can also do a little guerrilla around a pre-existing event. And so you can jump into some type of trade show where everybody has booths. And instead of having the booth, walk around and talk to people. You can see what they're interested in, go have conversations with them, and invite them to a VIP hospitality party that you get a chance to do a one-on-one. Or you do room drops, or you do some kind of mass giveaway or drawing. So if you get everybody to put their information in, the best gift you ever give is your time. So you can give away the gift, but then you have the contacts and you can say, well, send the email or the text message or whatever saying, I'm really sorry you didn't win the large prize. However, I'd love to offer you my time.
Mm.
Can I spend a half an hour with you? Because what you're doing is you're giving your expertise and you're giving value away, but you're also building a relationship. And that face to face is what experiential is.
Everybody's chasing this viral moment. And like when you say earlier about sending the emails, and I've gone through, I'm not a content brain of making the emails. And so I've gone through a whole, group of VAs and different techniques and never seen any big results. And there really is an art to that.
There
So
is.
what's the secret sauce for making campaigns catch fire online?
There are a couple of things. First of all, you have to get in their inbox.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is that our spam filters are so good because we don't want to get junk mail.
Right.
And so if you're going to send emails, send them to people who want to get your content. And also, when you are sending to people who want to get your content, your authority level or your authority rating is higher, which means even if you have somebody who doesn't usually get your email, it'll still get in their inbox. Because servers or the companies now that filter our email providers and so on, they all have these filters that kick mail out and send it to junk based on what your authority level is and whether or not you're in people's inbox. So the other is get in their contact list. So if I give you my contact information and a business card, that's great. But if I text you my contact and you add it to your phone and then text me your information, I'm in your phone. My website's in your phone, my email's in your phone, and my phone number's in your phone. I'm much more likely to then pick up or see an email from you and vice versa. Same thing with social media. Social media is meant to be social. So if you don't communicate back and forth, you don't get it. They don't see your messages. So going back to email, first is getting in their inbox. Number two, you have to have a compelling sentence. That subject line is everything. And there are certain things that servers look for or the filters look for. And those are things like, is it a question mark? If the sentence, if the subject line and the first sentence are questions, they assume it's a marketing piece.
Interesting.
If it is too long, they assume you're marketing to them. If there are too many links. So your first few messages to get in the inbox should be simple. And it shouldn't be giving all the sauce away. It should be asking for time, something compelling enough to get them to open. And also remember that most of us look at our phones or look at our messages right here, which means when it hits at an odd time of the day or night, it's going to your phone. And will you remember to look at that in the morning when you're checking to see if you want to respond to somebody? Because you're not going to respond while you're doing entertainment, you're out for dinner, you're cooking at home, whatever those things are. So make sure you find a good time to schedule it. And then make sure that it is a conversation. Don't email somebody with a message that you wouldn't want to receive. If it's a page and a half or 2 pages long, am I really going to read that? My theory is if it's more than a couple of sentences, the first time I'm reaching out to you, I know you're junk and I'm pushing you to junk right now, and you will forever be in my junk. It's the same thing on LinkedIn. So all those rules, same thing. If you're going to connect with people on social media, whether it be Facebook or LinkedIn, make it social. So don't start with a sales pitch. Get to know the person. I send out a message to a lot of my contacts, literally saying that the power of our network is as good as knowing the people in your network. Do you have 15 minutes for us to introduce ourselves to one another? I promise, no sales pitch. And you literally spend 15 minutes. And when those 15 minutes are up, one, I hope you gave them more of the time to speak. And if I had no time to speak, that's okay. Because most people, if they got the chance to do the talking, they thought it was a great conversation. You know it. And
Yes, yes.
and then at the end of the 15 minutes, I asked the question, I know I promised you 15 minutes. Would you like to continue this? Do you still have time? Or would you like to have a second follow-up call? Maybe do a little bit of a deeper dive or not. And I am happy to just know that you're in my network, and I will look for opportunities to connect you with people that I feel are good connections for you.
Nice. Oh, you say it's so clean. That's so nice. Hey,
Have a
you
clear, concise message.
right. Well, that got my attention. You're absolutely. And what do you think the biggest mistakes that companies make when they're trying to make, and I think you just said it with it in what you just said, but they're trying to create like a memorial, memory, marketing, experience. Yeah, but they just keep making the same mistakes.
What brands do, and consultants do it as well, what they end up doing is they spend so much time focusing on what they have to say. They don't know if someone's listening. They don't know if it's what somebody wants to hear, needs to hear, or if they're even in a position to listen.
Mm,
So what's important is finding out if this is a good time for the other person, allowing the other person to tell you their concerns and share with you how you can help them. If I go into a big pitch, what I have found is I close when I don't pitch. I may have a presentation. We may get through every slide. We may not. Because as soon as I can identify an issue, I will completely derail my presentation to answer questions and talk through to solve a problem for them. Because at that point, I'm bringing value. And if it brings more value than my presentation of me talking about me, and I solve a problem for them, score.
yeah,
That's a win.
yeah, that's for sure. Well, I'm excited to hear about your new book. Tell everybody about it and just
So I
open
don't
it
know
up
if you
a
can
little.
see it through this, but it is The Art of Experiential Marketing,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's about creating memorable brand moments. And so it is when you have consumers, and again, consumers can be individuals or it can be businesses, and a brand, bringing them together in a way where there are meaningful conversations. And if you can do it around something that people are passionate about, it makes it even more memorable. So I go back to the story about Folds of Honor and Rite Aid, Unilever, Johnson and Johnson, and Nestle. Brought them together. The anchor for it was a hot air balloon.
Mm,
And it was the images that kids who were recipients of the scholarship drew. And so we called it the dream ship because it's whatever the children wanted to be, their dreams are on the balloon.
mm.
So the dream ship, we got to take people up in hot air balloons.
Wow.
That's one of those memorable moments
Yeah,
most people don't get an opportunity to have.
right.
Doing a concert sponsorship with Kelly Clarkson for Vitamin Water,
Mm.
where you run a second stage, you have a radio promotion, people get up and sing a Kelly song, and they get upgraded tickets. They get to go backstage and meet Kelly in a meet and greet.
Mm.
Those are memorable moments. Being at the Olympics and letting people have that relationship, meet the Clydesdales, meet a Anheuser-Busch brewmaster. But while they are creating this memorable not just moment, but experience with their families around this amazing sporting event that only happens every so often in the US.
Wow. That's so special. When you look ahead, there's a lot of emerging trends and experimental marketing, and now AI is woven into everything. What do you say business should prepare for?
I think that AI is a great tool if it is used wisely. AI should not be the end all be all. And when you are using it, you still have to read it because it is not 100%. It's whatever is out in the universe is what it pulls. And if what's out there is wrong, it's still wrong. And if it can't find something, it finds something close and creates it.
Mm, that's
So
good.
I've asked it to write case studies for me, and I intentionally gave it 20 of my case studies, and it found 18 of them.
Mm,
And the other two were horrific. But if I had just trusted it, I
right.
would have sent out incorrect information. And that's not forgivable. You can't do that. So you have to make sure that you're using it correctly. It's also a great tool for things that you're not good at. Like it can be great at cutting video. It can be great at digital in creating images and all of those kinds of things. It can give you great feedback on things. It can take a document that you create and clean it up, or you can draw an outline and have it fill it in. But again, it has to be reviewed. The other is that everybody wants to do digital. The brands that are going to do really well are the ones who are going to go back to face to face. Reason being is, well, people are comfortable with digital. People do better when they're not comfortable.
Mm,
People learn more. They have new experiences. Those are the moments that take your breath away. Those times that you are uncomfortable, you're learning new things, you're around new people, and you're experiencing things. And when brands can attach themselves to those types of things, they will do well because people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And people still have this fear of knowing, okay, we might have a relationship on in a digital atmosphere. But the question is, are you real? And when you are face to face, you
yeah.
get to spend time with them and there's a different energy. And so I would expect a lot of that. I also think that a lot of companies are trying to compare the two experiential, so the face to face portion of it, with the digital. And they try to do events that are both face to face and online. The problem with that is the online version is never going to give you the same experience as the folks who are in person. And the people who are in person will get opportunities that the folks who are online will never get. Now, you can do one or the other. My suggestion is do both. You push through digital, you push them to events. You meet them face to face, you create a relationship, you encourage them, you let them win tickets to your VIP hospitality, you invite them to engage you at a PR stunt, you invite them to come to a pop up, whatever those things might be. Then you push them back to digital and you get them on social media and you send them digital photos of the event and you engage them there. And then you look for opportunities to re engage them face to face. And the idea of bouncing back and forth, and you do some of your events digitally, and then you do some of them face to face, it means more people can connect and you get more depth and more opportunity with a consumer. But at the same time, it reduces your budget. It allows you to connect with more people, but it still gives you that deep dive into those connections that you don't get anywhere else than face to face.
Mm, that's good. That's really good. You've done some, speaking of PR stunts, you've done some amazing PR stunts and VIP hospitality experience. What's one of your most favorite bold projects?
So, as far as PR, um, Charmin Restrooms has always been a great one. I worked with, I was at an agency, I was the vice president of operations. We ran Charmin Restrooms in Times Square and we opened it up to the public because there are no restrooms in Times Square that are open to the public.
Mm,
And so between Thanksgiving and New Year's Eve every year, we have this space that's open that people were able to use the restroom. And you have little kids doing the potty dance. And we literally called it the potty dance because That's what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And we had all types. This went on for 8 years. We had a wedding there. We had, different celebrities come and do the ribbon cutting. So lots of those kinds of fun things. And then going back to another great Procter and Gamble brand, one of the great events or ongoing initiatives we did for them was Tide Loads of Hope.
Mm.
So we worked with Tide and built a laundromat that we were able to take to disaster areas that
Wow.
allowed people to wash their clothes. And it started at Katrina, and I joined it shortly after that. Um, but what it allowed people to do was to just have that dignity back of having clean clothes after being in a hurricane, having a flood, being dealing with tornadoes or fires. And not only the people who are impacted, but think of all those first responders
Yeah.
come in and are there to help. And the only downtime they have, they're sleeping. When do their clothes get washed? And
Right.
so instead, somebody would drop all of their clothes off. We would wash them up and literally hand it back. And you talk about PR.
Mm.
It is crazy the amount of PR
Sure.
because it is individuals talking about your brand instead of you talking about your brand. The
Absolutely.
press shows up because they want to show that in the middle of all of this negativity and all of the pain and suffering, that there are people there for the right reasons. And Procter and Gamble was. And at the same time, we had people from everywhere singing the praises of the brand and promoting it. And when something like that then becomes a true product, so they literally took the cap of the liquid Tide and changed it to yellow. And if you buy one of the yellow capped Tide bottles, then the proceeds go to that program
Oh,
to keep
brilliant.
that program going.
Brilliant. That's so beautiful.
It's a lot of fun to do those types of programs.
Yeah.
But one of the things I insist on when I'm dealing with clients is whatever you do has to be authentic. So think about all the garbage that happened with Bud Light this year.
Mm.
And regardless of what your feelings are on where your stance is, at one point they were supporting transgender, then they were apologizing it, and then they weren't. And what got them in trouble wasn't because they took a stance. What got them in trouble was that they kept waffling on their stance and they weren't true to their brand. So Budweiser could have easily said, so it was Bud Light, but Anheuser-Busch as a company could have said, guys, this is no difference from what we've always done. Well, you may not realize that we have always supported transgender. We were one of the first supporters of the gay pride movement. Like they were sponsors for those events early on, but also realize that we are the major sponsor of Folds of Honor, which is, again, the charity that provides scholarships to the children of fallen or disabled soldiers. We don't take a side in any of this because we are a brand that supports all people. And if you want to see it done well, look at Ben and Jerry's. Ben and Jerry's, if you've ever seen their packaging, if you've ever seen one of their commercials, if you've ever seen one of their ads, you can look at the container and know what they stand for. They wear their heart on their sleeve, but they have always done it, and they are open and honest and unapologetic. And they get away with saying almost anything they want as long as it is true to their brand, because you know exactly who they are and they have never deviated from that.
Mm. Right.
And so that was the difference of the two of them. So be authentic to your brand, whatever it is. And if you don't know what that voice is, keep it to yourself until you can explore where you are. And if you try to be something you're not, consumers pick up on it.
Right. Exactly. Well, it's like breaking through the noise. I mean, it's so crowded. Brands, want to stand out. A lot of them lie to stand out or not be authentic, right? And what How can our listen, right, apply this in their own business to stand out, but not be, to be authentic? What would you
First
say?
of all, in one area, if you're going to do PR, decide what type of subjects you want to talk about, because sometimes you don't need to take a side. Be authentic in the way you give. So be active in your community. Be somebody who is willing to give by the way they do things, how they do things. They don't necessarily have to come out and say, I'm right or left or whatever, because most people don't care. They have their own opinions, but when
Mm,
it comes down to it, they are more concerned about their lives,
right.
and they want to know what you bring to life. The second is, if you get an opportunity to do PR, speak candidly, keep your opinions somewhere conscious. Be conscious, be kind, and be relevant. Don't be something you're not, and always give hope.
Mm, yeah. Man,
When you are looking at social media, again, if you can't be kind, don't do it.
yep.
As a brand, Michael Jordan did it better than anybody. When he was asked about taking one political view or the other, and he said, "Why would I voice my opinion when I will alienate half the buyers?"
Right.
Okay. And
Mm,
again, I'm not saying you can't be true and you can't have an opinion, but also understand that there's a repercussion for that. And brands need to do the right things. You don't always have to be in the middle of it. And a lot of people are looking for brands to be a conscience and to be an awareness and to take a side and to give value. And what I tell business owners, you don't have to draw a line in the sand. You can be kind.
absolutely. Beautiful. I could talk to you for another hour, right? But no, you were just a wealth of wisdom with this, and you say it so simply. And we need to let everybody know where they can get your book to dial in this conversation.
So I am on Amazon right now. And I am pleased to say that with help from a lot of wonderful people, it is now an Amazon bestseller in 3 categories. Woo. And
Hey,
so there. And as well, I have a website, which is MogXP, mogxp.com. And I am on LinkedIn. And I love to speak. I love to have the opportunity to help any size brand. I work with different brands in a very different way, small independents versus medium-sized businesses where I do a lot of fractional CMO, and then those big brands where I create big integrated marketing programs.
fabulous, Sheila. It's been such a blessing to have you today. And again, I will look forward to having you back. And
I look forward.
congratulations on your bestseller.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Wow. What an inspirational, transformative conversation with Sheila. She is showing us how thinking out of the box with your marketing can deliver massive results, even when resources are limited. Whether it's pop up stores, PR stunts, or immersion brand experiences, there's always a way to maximize your marketing budget and make lasting impressions. Sheila, thank you for sharing your wisdom and passion with us today. Remember, every dollar you spend on marketing is an opportunity to connect, engage, and transform your audience's experience. If you're ready to take your marketing to the next level, start thinking big, bold, and experiential. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch up with you next time on Money 911. There's so much to learn about healthy money. I hope today's discussion brings you one step closer to securing and protecting your future. So you can get started on the right foot, go to meetwithkrismiller.com and schedule your free financial fitness strategy session. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to Money 911 so you don't miss our next episode, which includes health, wealth, and peace of mind. The power of purpose. Doing well by doing good. The power of purpose. Doing well by doing good. The power to bless lives inside of